This is the ultimate betrayal you should never forgive a narcissist for. There are betrayals in life that don't just wound you. They restructure you. They cut so deep into your soul that no apology, no amount of time, and no imagined closure could ever return you to who you once were. Among the most devastating is how a narcissist treats you during the most sacred, tender, and irreplaceable moments of your life. The times when you should have been cherished, protected, and celebrated. Instead, they turn joy into shame, song into silence, safety into fear, and love into pain. And it's never a single day's cruelty, it's calculated erosion. They taint your memories, twist your milestones, and inject darkness into what should have been pure light. Your pregnancy, the birth of your child, that hard-earned career victory, that rare moment you truly felt proud of yourself, all of it deliberately poisoned. They see your joy as a threat, and so they make it their mission to dim it, not by accident, but with chilling precision, with no shred of remorse. When a narcissist feels threatened by your happiness, sabotage becomes their chosen weapon, and they wield it with a coldness that leaves scars time cannot fade. So, if you ever find yourself tempted to give them another chance, pause, not to relive the pain, but to remember the person you were before they broke you. Because there are some violations so profound that no one should ever return from them. And if they've committed even one of the 5 acts I'm about to share, you don't need more time, more guilt, or more self-doubt. You need only one thing: permission to walk away and never look back. Number 1. They robbed you of the beauty of pregnancy. Pregnancy is meant to be one of the most sacred, awe-inspiring phases in a woman's life. But in the hands of a narcissist, that sacredness turns into a battlefield. For them, pregnancy isn't something to honor. It's a trap they believe locks you into their control. Once they think you're secured, the mask slips. The affection evaporates. You're no longer their beloved. You're a tool, a burden, an object to manage. I've never encountered a narcissist who didn't, in some way, sabotage the pregnancy experience. They cheat, not because they lack affection, despite what they may claim, but because they want to humiliate you at your most vulnerable. They mock your cravings, dismiss your exhaustion, scoff at your emotions, and quietly chip away at your sense of worth. Then comes postpartum, a storm unlike any other. Your body is bleeding, your mind is in overdrive, sleep is a distant memory, and every part of you aches. Yet you're still expected to hold everything together. And where are they? Absent, distracted, cold, sometimes with someone else, while you're navigating the hardest days of your life. They betray while you are surviving. They withdraw when you need the most support. They don't look at your body with awe for what it has endured. They look at it with disgust, as if your survival was an inconvenience to them. They start asking when you'll finally lose the baby weight. They stop touching you, stop seeing you, stop showing up, not because you've become any less, but because your body no longer serves as a mirror for their ego. And that's the part that cuts the deepest. The timing, the precision, the cold cruelty of it. They withhold love exactly when your soul is thirsting for it the most. They avert their gaze when your eyes are silently begging for connection. This wasn't just neglect, it was desecration. They took something holy and turned it into harm. Your transformation, meant to be honored, was twisted into trauma. They stole the reverence, the beauty, the love that was rightfully yours and replaced it with shame. This isn't about simple mood swings or minor miscommunication. It's emotional theft in its purest form. Number 2, they used your deepest pain as a weapon. There are pieces of your story that you share only when you truly believe you're safe. Not because you're seeking sympathy, not because you want to relive the ache, but because you finally feel seen. You think, maybe, this person is different. So you take the risk. You open the doors that have been locked for years. You tell them about the father who was absent or violent, the mother who left and never looked back, the night your voice was stolen and your body felt like a hollow shell, the years you carried blame that was never yours. You place these pieces in their hands gently, trembling, uncertain, offering not weakness, but trust. And at first, they seem to honor it. They nod, they listen, maybe even hold you. What you don't know is that they're not storing these memories in the heart where they belong. They're archiving them in the armory. Because one day, when control is slipping or they want to watch you crumble, they'll reach into that vault and hurl your pain back at you. They'll twist your trauma into ammunition. No wonder your family didn't love you. Or, you were broken long before I met you. Remember? You told me yourself. And in that moment, it's not just their words that crush you. It's the realization that your pain was never safe with them. That your vulnerability was never valued. You feel betrayed by them and by yourself for trusting them at all. But this is not your shame to carry. This is emotional sadism. This is soul betrayal. When someone weaponizes your suffering to control you, to silence you, to wound you deeper, they are declaring, your wounds are my tools. Number 3, they touch you when you did not feel safe. You may not have screamed. You may not have pushed them away. You may have lain there in stillness, silent and unmoving. But inside, everything in you was shutting down. Your body wasn't giving consent. It was enduring. You weren't just tired in the way sleep could fix. You were drained in a way that seeps into bone and soul. It wasn't just ordinary fatigue. It was the deep, bone-scraping exhaustion that comes from pouring out more than you had for far too long. Your soul felt paper-thin, worn down to transparency. You were disconnected, overwhelmed, sometimes even numb, and yet they still demanded more. More smiles, more compliance, more energy you didn't have. Their needs were always urgent, always prioritized, always pressing against you before you could even register your own. When you hesitated, they guilted you. When you resisted, they pouted or lashed out. Eventually, the person you were began to vanish, replaced by a role, an obligation, something to perform rather than life. And because of a relentless gaslighting, you convinced yourself it wasn't that bad, that giving in was easier, that maybe this was just their version of love. But it was never love, it was control dressed as closeness. Number 4, they made you feel like a bad parent for being exhausted. You were doing everything, feeding, cleaning, comforting, waking in the night with a dry throat and an aching back just to check that your baby's chest still rose and fell in peaceful rhythm. You were stretched past your limit, running on fumes, with no safe place to collapse. And instead of meeting your exhaustion with tenderness, they met it with criticism. Your fatigue was not a signal for them to step in. It was a flaw for them to exploit. They called you lazy when you could barely keep your eyes open. They compared you to other parents as though raising a child was some competitive sport rather than an act of love. They rolled their eyes when you asked for help, made mocking jokes about how little you'd accomplished, and dismissed the visible strain on your body and spirit. They didn't just refuse to lighten your load. They stacked more weight on top. Number 5, and the final betrayal. They flirted in front of you and blamed you for noticing. This wasn't carelessness, it was choreography. Every lingering glance, every sly smile, every borderline compliment was deliberate. The playful comments that made your stomach tighten weren't imagined. You saw them. You felt them. You recognized the calculated intent. They wanted someone else to see them, to want them, to validate them, all while you stood beside them. And when you called it out, there was no reassurance, no warmth, no accountability. Instead, they turned the knife with classic gaslighting. You're insecure. You're overreacting. They wanted you to question your instincts because that gave them a double victory, feeding their ego while draining yours. And that, right there, is the heart of betrayal. If even a single word of this feels like your truth, know this: the only way forward is a way. The way out is the way through. Thank you for watching, and until we meet again, let the healing not just begin, but continue. Have a nice day, everyone.